I always used to wonder, welfare reform, the people who passed it bragged about how it was going to bring about self-sufficiency, right? And I ask myself, how can you engender self-sufficiency? How can you empower people to be self-sufficient if from the very start of their relationship with you, you take away their dignity, you rob them of their self-esteem, what little they may have left. You convince them that by applying for public assistance, they have revealed themselves to be morally and ethically flawed, not deserving of the same consideration that we would give to others in our society. My name is Joni Halpern. I call myself a lawyer for the poor because I have served low-income families and individuals my entire career in law. I started work at the ACLU just as welfare reform was kicking off. When a person applies for public assistance, they naturally have to verify every conceivable thing about their lives. And if there's an inconsistency or suspicion, that has normally been referred for investigation by fraud investigators. But Project 100% was a so-called extension of the eligibility process. The trigger for the search under Project 100% was that your application was innocent. You met all of the requirements for eligibility. You passed all the verification requirements. You overcame all the obstacles. You did the face-to-face interviews. You showed up with all your documents. And you came out eligible for this meager little bit of public assistance. And Project 100% said, we're not finished with you yet. We need to do a walkthrough and a re-interview inside your house. The kinds of things that I was seeing as Project 100% rolled out were that their houses were being ransacked. It wasn't like a walkthrough, it was like they were being ransacked. The investigator comes out and finds 3 toothbrushes in a household that said there was a parent and a child. I don't know, what's 3 toothbrushes doing there, you know? Medication, prescription in the medicine cabinet that had been left by the parent when he took off, you know, the father of the kids. What's it doing in there? What are you doing with Victoria's Secret underwear? You're not supposed to be able to afford that. Looking at their mail, making them dump their purses out on the bed. It's an unannounced, unscheduled home call designed to catch you in the act. It eats at you, and your children see it. And when the welfare investigator comes in, they see how they talk to the parent. The investigator was intimidating and condescending and denigrating and encouraging them to sign withdrawals of their application because, you know, it looks like you're committing fraud, and the kinds of excesses that you say in your gut, well, for sure the Constitution can't think this is okay. Well, I was wrong. I know I'm on welfare, but I'm also an American, and I have a right to keep people out of my home that I don't want in my home. In Sanchez, the investigators not just went into the house, they went everywhere in the house. This was not being done by a social worker, it was being done by a fraud investigator who is charged with the work of finding fraud. It wasn't about rehabilitating anybody from poverty. It's like about what can I see here and finding fraud. It's shocking, I think, for any one of us who has been raised to think that there are certain minimum thresholds of decency that the Constitution protects. that if you haven't shown yourself to be committing a crime, or they don't suspect you of a crime, that surely those would be among the persons the Constitution would protect. I mean, that feels American to me, but I don't know how they could parse it out and find a different result, but the court did. I'm not a person who has a gripe against government being government, because I think that at the bottom, government has a mandate to take care of its people. It has a mandate to hold people accountable. It has a mandate to, to try to keep us honest. So if you want to keep your jobs, great, but how about if we do this? How about if instead of doing 10 searches a day of parents' homes whose applications are profoundly innocent, how about if you devote some of your manpower to consumer protection of all the ways that low-income people get taken advantage of? We don't have a clear picture of the cost-benefit analysis here, because I don't think they want a clear picture of it. I don't think it exists, because if you're the head of an organization and you want to know whether this is really worth the money, you find a way to break out every little thing and track it. If it's not being done, it's not being done because someone doesn't want to know that. To think about ending my career with the same problems that we see for decades, there's a sadness in that. While we are a nation that prizes independence and independent thinking and ambition and all the good things, capitalism, whatever, the driving forces of individual creativity, we prize those, and well, we should, right? But you can't live your entire life with only that as your mantra. And the other side of that coin, saying to people who don't do as well as you, personal responsibility. You haven't taken personal responsibility for your poverty, for your hunger, for your homelessness, for your cancer, for your whatever, for your need of whatever. And to say that to them as the backside of that statement about independence and how much we prize it is a lie, because we're human beings and we need each other. And when you do well, I do better. And when we feed the kids properly, and we educate the kids properly, and we let their parents develop skills they might not have had, we lift ourselves up as a country. And I don't know how it is that we ever forgot that. I don't know where we left it. Where on the trail did we leave it? Until now we're shouting at each other and pointing fingers at each other and hating each other and hating the poor. Why? What good has that ever done our country?